10 hidden signs you were born gifted. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Have you ever felt different, like you see and sense the world in a deeper way than most? Maybe it's not a flaw, but a hidden sign that you were born gifted. In today's video from Spiritual Wisdom, we'll uncover 10 subtle signs that reveal a rare kind of inner intelligence, one that connects intuition, empathy, and purpose. As you listen, ask yourself, which of these signs resonate with your own life? Comment your thoughts below, and let's begin this journey of self-discovery together, because understanding your gift is the first step toward personal growth and true happiness. 1. Giftedness is often misunderstood. Giftedness is often misunderstood, not because it hides, but because society rarely knows how to recognize it. It's not about high IQ scores or perfect grades. In fact, many truly gifted people spend their lives believing they are broken or flawed because their brilliance doesn't fit conventional molds. They feel too deeply, think too much, and sense the invisible patterns that others overlook. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And that is exactly what the gifted soul must learn to embrace their contradictions as signs of spiritual awakening rather than symptoms of imbalance. They are born with a spiritual sensitivity that makes the ordinary world feel too shallow. Their minds wired to explore truth, meaning, and the deeper nature of existence. Those who are spiritually gifted often carry an inner conflict, a longing for belonging, and a simultaneous resistance to conformity. From childhood, they may have been told they are too intense, too emotional, too serious. But what others perceive as excess is in fact their soul's way of interpreting life at a higher frequency. They read energy the way others read words. They feel emotions like colors, vivid and alive. Their awareness stretches beyond logic into intuition, allowing them to pick up on what is unsaid, unseen, and unspoken. This sensitivity can be exhausting, but it is also sacred. It's a channel through which higher consciousness speaks. Carl Jung described individuation as the process of becoming whole. And for gifted individuals, this journey can feel like a battlefield between mind and spirit. They experience the world through layers of perception, constantly decoding symbols and synchronicities that others dismiss as coincidence. Their solitude is not isolation, it's initiation. The universe often pulls them away from noise and distraction so they can hear the truth within. These dark nights of the soul are not punishments, but passages through which the spirit expands. When they emerge, they carry wisdom that cannot be learned from books, only from surrender. Gifted souls live with an intensity that can be both a burden and a blessing. They absorb emotions like sponges, often confusing others' pain for their own. Yet within this emotional turbulence lies their greatest potential for transformation. Once they learn to manage their energy instead of being consumed by it, their empathy evolves into clarity. Their vulnerability becomes strength, and their intuition becomes guidance. What once felt like chaos begins to align into purpose. This is the true art of spirituality, turning sensitivity into wisdom and pain into awakening. Every challenge becomes a mirror, reflecting the parts of themselves they must integrate to grow. Spiritual awakening teaches that giftedness is not a destination, but a continuous process of remembering. These individuals are not meant to fit in. They are meant to elevate, to question, to inspire others simply by embodying truth. Their depth is not a curse, it's a compass. Their difference is not isolation, it's initiation. When they stop apologizing for their sensitivity and start embracing it as divine design, their entire perception of life shifts. They realize that giftedness is not about superiority, but about responsibility. The responsibility to live consciously, love deeply, and move through life with awareness that their energy shapes reality. Have you ever felt like your gifts were more of a burden than a blessing? If so, share your story in the comments so others can learn from your journey. If you're still discovering what makes you truly gifted, comment, "I'm awakening." And let's uncover the truth of your hidden potential together. 2. Restless mind. A restless mind is not a flaw. It is the signature of a gifted soul. You get bored easily, not because you are careless or impatient, but because your mind processes information at an extraordinary speed. Your thoughts race, your curiosity burns, and your awareness constantly hungers for something deeper. Ordinary routines or small talk cannot satisfy you because your inner world moves faster than the world outside. You crave mental stimulation, not out of distraction, but from a deep spiritual need to grow, evolve, and understand life beyond the surface. This restlessness is not a problem to fix. It is a sign that your consciousness is awakening to higher levels of perception. You can sense things others overlook. You pick up patterns, connections, and meanings hidden beneath what's visible. While many feel comfortable in repetition, you grow restless in stagnation. You need challenge, mystery, and depth to feel alive. Your mind is like a storm of creativity and insight, constantly forming new ideas and possibilities. This is the mark of spiritual intelligence, a consciousness expanding faster than it can be contained. But such a gift often brings loneliness. When others move slowly, you may feel misunderstood or out of place. Yet this very restlessness is your initiation into spiritual awakening. It pushes you to search for truth, to transcend limits, and to align your intellect with your soul. At times, this restless energy can feel overwhelming. It may keep you awake at night or make you feel disconnected from the world around you. But what if this inner movement is not chaos, but divine design? Carl Jung once said, "Restlessness is discontent, and discontent is the first necessity of progress." Your discontent is sacred. It is the universe speaking through your mind, urging you to keep evolving. Instead of silencing your mind, you can learn to direct it toward understanding, creativity, and transformation. Through spirituality and spiritual growth, your restlessness becomes your greatest teacher, reminding you that fulfillment doesn't come from stillness alone, but from conscious engagement with life's mysteries. The gifted mind is like a wild horse, untamed, powerful, and beautiful when free. You cannot force it to slow down through suppression. Instead, you must guide it through awareness. Meditation, mindful breathing, or deep reflection can help you channel this energy, not as chaos, but as clarity. When you learn to pause between thoughts, the noise softens and wisdom begins to speak. The restless mind finds peace not by escaping its speed, but by harmonizing it with the rhythm of the soul. You realize that true calm is not the absence of motion, but the mastery of it. Every restless thought, every craving for new experiences, every question that refuses to leave your mind, they all serve a purpose. They are signs that you were born to explore, to connect the seen and unseen, to bring spiritual wisdom into everyday life. Your restless mind is not your enemy. It is your compass. It leads you toward evolution, toward purpose, toward a deeper state of awareness where curiosity transforms into consciousness and movement becomes meaning. This is how your restlessness turns into revelation, the bridge between intellect and intuition, where the mind becomes a sacred instrument of spiritual growth. 3. Intense emotions. You feel everything so deeply that even the smallest moment can shake your entire being. When happiness arrives, it's overwhelming, almost divine, and when sadness comes, it feels like drowning in an ocean of your own thoughts. Yet this emotional depth is not weakness, it's your strength. As Carl Jung once said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. What you're feeling is life turned up to full volume. You don't just exist, you experience, absorb, and internalize the essence of everything around you. Your sensitivity is the language of your soul, the quiet proof that you were born gifted with a mind that sees meaning where others see none. You sense things others miss, the shift in someone's tone, the hidden sorrow in a smile, the energy that fills a room before anyone speaks. You feel people before you understand them, and often that sensitivity leaves you misunderstood. You've probably been told you're too emotional, too intense, or that you take things too seriously. But the truth is, your emotions are not flaws. They are your superpowers. They connect you to the collective pulse of humanity. You feel the pain others try to hide, and that empathy, though heavy, gives you the ability to heal, to guide, and to understand life at a level few ever reach. Jung believed that gifted people carry an inner tension between their spiritual depth and the outer world's shallow noise. That tension isn't punishment. It's the fire that shapes your consciousness. Sometimes, your heart feels like it's carrying the weight of the world. The suffering of others echoes inside you. Injustice, cruelty, or even silence pierces your being. But what if your emotions were never meant to break you, only to awaken you? Each tear you shed carves space for wisdom to enter. Each moment of heartbreak refines your compassion. Each burst of joy reminds you that your spirit still believes in beauty despite the chaos. The more deeply you feel, the more life teaches you to transform pain into art, confusion into understanding, and despair into a kind of sacred faith. According to Carl Jung's spiritual wisdom, emotions are the bridge between your conscious self and the divine depths of your unconscious. Every emotion you experience carries a message, a mirror reflecting something you need to see or release. The sadness you run from is often an unopened door to your purpose. The anger you suppress may be the voice of your unclaimed power. Until you make the unconscious conscious, Jung said, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. When you begin to listen to your emotions instead of escaping them, you no longer live by fate, you live by awareness. So when your emotions flood you, don't resist them. Feel them. Observe them. Let them move through you without fear. You are not too much. You are simply tuned to a higher frequency of life. This intensity is what allows you to see beyond the surface, to hear what souls whisper in silence, and to turn every experience into understanding. You were born to experience the full spectrum of human feeling, so that through your awakening, others can learn to feel again. Your emotions are not storms to survive. They are the winds of transformation that carry your spirit toward its highest form of consciousness. 4. Self-doubt. Gifted people often live in a constant dialogue with their own minds, questioning every thought, decision, and path as if the act of doubt itself were a sacred ritual of self-examination. Their self-doubt does not arise from weakness, but from awareness, the kind of awareness that sees far beyond appearances. They notice every imperfection, every gap in understanding, and instead of admiring what they already know, they dwell on what they have yet to master. This creates a subtle but powerful tension between humility and brilliance. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And for gifted individuals, that privilege is often accompanied by the weight of relentless introspection. Their spirituality deepens through this process because each doubt becomes an invitation to look within, to confront the hidden chambers of the psyche where truth and fear coexist. In moments of self-doubt, the gifted person doesn't simply feel inadequate. They experience the echo of every possibility they haven't yet fulfilled. Their mind races not because it is weak, but because it is hungry for meaning, precision, and truth. They see what others overlook. They sense what others ignore. And this sensitivity, though profound, often becomes heavy to carry. In the silence of their thoughts, they replay every word, every action, every missed opportunity, seeking to understand what they could have done better. Yet this endless analysis is also the mark of spiritual awakening. For when the ego dissolves, the mind becomes aware not of what it owns, but of what it still has to learn. And this humility is the soil where wisdom begins to bloom. Self-doubt for the gifted is like a mirror that reflects both their light and their shadow. They do not merely question their ability. They question their purpose, their place in the universe, and the meaning of their existence. Jung believed that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. When gifted people doubt themselves, it is often the unconscious whispering to them, calling them to recognize their unseen depths. It is not failure trying to destroy them, but the psyche trying to awaken them. Every wave of uncertainty, every moment of hesitation becomes a sacred test of faith, an opportunity to transcend old versions of themselves and to align their outer life with the quiet knowing of their soul. The spiritually awakened mind understands that doubt and growth walk hand in hand. Without doubt, there is no expansion. Without humility, there is no transformation. For those who are truly gifted, confidence does not come from certainty, but from awareness that every unanswered question, every moment of hesitation is part of the journey towards self-realization. Their spirituality teaches them that to be human is to be in constant evolution, to oscillate between fear and faith, shadow and light, until both dissolve into one. And so, the gifted continue their path, carrying their self-doubt not as a curse, but as a compass, a reminder that the greatest minds are not those who claim to know everything, but those who never stop searching. 5. Obsessive focus. When something captures your attention so deeply that you can't rest until you've fully unraveled its meaning, that's not mere stubbornness. It's the mark of a gifted mind. Obsessive focus is the sacred fire that burns within those who are born to understand what lies beneath the surface. In spirituality, this intensity isn't a flaw. It's a divine signal from your higher self, calling you to explore the mysteries that others overlook. When an idea, problem, or vision takes hold of you and refuses to let go, It's your soul recognizing alignment with your true path. Carl Jung believed that the ability to concentrate deeply bridges the conscious and unconscious worlds, and through that bridge, the self awakens to its hidden wisdom. That's why you may find yourself unable to stop thinking, researching, or creating until clarity emerges. It's not an obsession. Its purpose is expressing itself through you. This inner pull can make you seem distant or preoccupied, but it's actually a profound form of devotion. Think of a composer lost in the melody that only they can hear, or an inventor so immersed in thought that time disappears. You may forget to eat, lose track of hours, or feel an unstoppable rush of insight that arrives like divine lightning in the night. You're not distracted, you're connected to something greater. In moments of deep focus, the boundaries between you and what you study begin to dissolve, revealing the spiritual truth that the observer and the observed are one. This is not just concentration, it's a form of spiritual growth, a moment when consciousness expands beyond the ordinary and touches the essence of creation itself. Yet even this sacred fire must be tended carefully. When your focus becomes too consuming, it can trap you in endless loops of perfectionism and restlessness. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Your focus must serve your awakening, not enslave it. True mastery lies in knowing when to surrender, to step back, breathe, and allow your intuition to speak. When guided by awareness, obsessive focus transforms from mental pressure into spiritual flow. It becomes a meditative state in motion, where every thought, every detail, every breakthrough becomes part of your soul's evolution. Those who misunderstand your intensity might call it strange or excessive, but what they see as obsession is simply your deep relationship with meaning. Gifted souls don't chase distractions. They dive into depth. They feel an inner demand to reach truth, not comfort to understand rather than escape. Spirituality teaches that this hunger for knowledge is the language of the soul, reminding you that curiosity is sacred. Your fixation is not madness. It's devotion to the unseen pattern behind life. Every sleepless night spent solving, creating, or learning is proof that your consciousness is expanding, preparing you for higher understanding. So when you find yourself caught in that familiar state of relentless focus, remember, it's not a weakness to be cured. It's a compass pointing you toward your evolution. What others call obsession is often the soul's way of saying, "Don't stop now." You're close to the truth. Each moment of deep engagement refines your mind and strengthens your spirit, awakening you to the vast intelligence that flows through all things. This is how spiritual growth unfolds, not in comfort, but in the sacred fire of focus that turns thought into wisdom and effort into awakening. Leave your like and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. And don't forget to activate the notification bell so you never miss a moment of insight on your spiritual awakening. If today's message about obsessive focus helped you understand your own gift on a deeper level, share this video with someone who needs it. And type in the comments, "My focus is my divine power." 6. Heightened sensitivity. Your heightened sensitivity is not a weakness. It is one of the hidden signs that you were born gifted. You may find yourself easily overstimulated by bright lights, loud noises, or rough textures. Yet this sensitivity also allows you to experience the world with a depth and vividness that most people cannot imagine. You don't just see, you feel every detail, every vibration, every subtle shift in the atmosphere. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And part of that journey is realizing that your sensitivity is not a flaw to fix, but a gift to understand. You are like a finely tuned instrument, one that resonates with the energy of life itself. This sensitivity means you perceive beauty, emotion, and truth on frequencies others may never reach. And while it can sometimes feel overwhelming, it also makes you spiritually awake to the interconnectedness of all things. When you walk into a room, you can sense the unspoken emotions lingering in the air before anyone speaks. You can feel when someone is hiding sadness behind a smile, or when tension fills the silence. This is not imagination. It is energy recognition. Carl Jung believed that sensitivity is the foundation of intuition, the bridge that connects the conscious and unconscious realms. Your system absorbs the emotions, intentions, and vibrations of others because your awareness operates beyond logic. That's why crowds can feel draining and superficial conversations can feel unbearable. You are not reacting too much. You are simply processing life at a higher resolution. Spiritual wisdom reminds us that the more awake your senses are, the more responsibility you carry to protect your peace and maintain your balance. Your gift allows you to detect hidden truths, but it also requires you to master energetic boundaries so you don't carry what isn't yours. This heightened awareness is often the mark of an old soul, someone who came into this world already knowing how to feel deeply. It is the same quality that inspired great visionaries, artists, and mystics throughout history. People whose sensitivity allowed them to translate invisible emotions into poetry, music, and innovation. They didn't see their sensitivity as fragility. They saw it as the doorway to creativity and spiritual awakening. As Jung said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. You might have suffered because of how deeply you feel, but that very depth is what shapes your wisdom, empathy, and understanding. You are capable of perceiving patterns in chaos, hearing meaning in silence, and finding divine order where others see confusion. You may often feel like you are too much for the world, too emotional, too aware, too intense, but in truth, you are exactly as you are meant to be. Sensitivity is not about weakness. It is about perception. It allows you to tune into life's hidden rhythms, to sense divine timing, and to align your actions with your soul's calling. The world needs people like you, people who can feel beyond the surface and bring light to what is unseen. The key is to honor this part of yourself instead of fighting it. Protect your space, listen to your intuition, and use your empathy with intention. Your sensitivity is not something to escape. It is your spiritual compass guiding you toward truth. Through this lens of spiritual wisdom and Carl Jung's insight, you begin to see that your sensitivity is the universe's way of awakening you. It teaches you to slow down, to notice what others ignore, and to live in alignment with the subtleties of existence. You are not fragile. You are finely tuned to the divine frequency of life itself. The lesson hidden within your sensitivity is this: the more deeply you feel, the more deeply you can love, create, and awaken. And when you learn to embrace that, you stop surviving your sensitivity and start thriving through it. 7. Pattern recognition. You naturally see patterns where others see randomness, connecting events, emotions, and experiences with a clarity that feels almost prophetic. This ability to detect hidden order isn't just intelligence, it's a reflection of a deep spiritual awakening. Your mind operates like a finely tuned instrument, always decoding meaning beneath the surface of life, linking what appears unrelated into one continuous thread of purpose. What others dismiss as coincidence, you recognize as synchronicity. What others call luck, you understand as divine timing. This isn't imagination, it's intuition aligned with higher consciousness, a bridge between the physical and spiritual realms that few truly perceive. Your analytical intelligence doesn't stop at logic. It expands into emotional and spiritual insight. You notice how patterns in your relationships repeat until lessons are learned, how emotions return until they're released, and how opportunities resurface until you are ready to embrace them. Carl Jung once said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Your gift of pattern recognition is the essence of this truth. It reveals how energy moves, how cycles unfold, and how your inner world shapes your outer experience. You are not merely thinking. You are perceiving life through the language of symbols, archetypes, and hidden design. Yet with this heightened perception often comes a sense of isolation. Because while others drift through life unaware, you stand at the edge of awareness, feeling both the beauty and burden of seeing too much. You understand connections that others overlook, and this can make you feel misunderstood or out of place. But what feels like alienation is actually initiation, a call to awaken deeper spiritual wisdom. You are being guided to recognize that nothing in your life happens at random, that every challenge, every person, every emotion is part of a greater pattern shaping your soul's evolution. The moment you stop resisting and start observing, you begin to understand that spirituality is not about escaping reality, but about decoding it. When you walk through life with this awareness, everything becomes meaningful. You begin to read the world like a sacred text. The way a stranger looks at you, the repetition of numbers, the timing of a conversation, even the silence between words all become signs from the universe. This level of perception is not just a skill, it's a responsibility, because the more awake you are, the more clearly you see the interconnectedness of all things. It's as if the universe itself whispers to you in patterns, guiding your steps toward transformation. So when you notice these recurring connections, when your intuition warns you, or your mind links events that others ignore, understand that this is your soul communicating through consciousness. You were not meant to live on the surface. You were meant to dive deep, to trace the hidden geometry of existence, and to bring light to what others overlook. In spirituality, this is not an accident, but a sign of awakening. The same wisdom Carl Jung described when he said the psyche speaks in symbols. Your gift is not to simply think, but to see, to read between the lines of life and translate energy into understanding. This is the true art of spiritual awakening. The realization that every moment, no matter how ordinary, is part of a greater pattern woven by divine intelligence. 8. Perfectionism. Perfectionism is not vanity. It is a quiet, spiritual hunger for excellence that lives deep within you. You don't chase perfection to impress others. You chase it because you see infinite room for improvement in everything you touch. There's an inner voice that whispers, you can do better, refine more, reach higher, and you can't silence it. You sense possibilities others overlook, details others ignore, patterns others miss. It's as if your soul is wired to polish reality until it aligns with the vision in your mind. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, and your perfectionism is part of that journey." It's not about control. It's about harmony between your potential and your expression, between your inner truth and the world that receives it. You notice the slightest imbalance, the faintest imperfection, the smallest deviation from what feels right. To others, your standards may seem unreachable, but to you, they're natural because your mind doesn't stop at good enough. You see creation as something sacred, and every act of improvement is a form of devotion. This is where spirituality meets craftsmanship, the unseen art of aligning the human and the divine through attention, effort, and presence. Your drive to perfect things is not ego, it's reverence for possibility. Yet sometimes, this gift feels heavy. You may find yourself revising endlessly, doubting your progress, feeling haunted by the thought that it's still not there yet. But this restlessness is not a flaw. It's evidence of a soul that knows evolution never ends. Still, perfectionism carries a paradox. It fuels growth, but it can also exhaust you. You hold yourself to impossible standards, and when you fall short, you suffer quietly, believing you failed. But what if this striving is your spiritual training ground? What if the lesson isn't about reaching perfection, but learning to see beauty, even in the unfinished? True spiritual growth begins when you allow yourself to be both the sculptor and the sculpture, constantly shaping, yet never condemning. Jung reminded us, no tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. In the same way, your pursuit of excellence must embrace imperfection. For without flaws, there would be no evolution, no wisdom, no soul. The deeper truth is that perfectionism, when guided by love and awareness, becomes sacred discipline. It transforms anxiety into artistry, fear into focus, self-criticism into self-mastery. Each time you strive to improve, you're not chasing an illusion. You're refining your alignment with your higher self. But the real mastery comes when you learn to release control, to trust that your effort is enough, to surrender the need for flawless outcomes and instead cherish the process of becoming. That is the highest form of spirituality, turning the endless climb for perfection into a dance of acceptance and grace. When you reach that understanding, perfectionism no longer imprisons you. It liberates you, teaching you that true perfection is not about the absence of flaws, but the presence of awareness, love, and purpose in everything you do. 9. Feeling out of place. You've always felt like you didn't quite belong, haven't you? Like your mind moves in directions others can't follow. Like you're seeing the world through a lens too sharp for most people to handle. You sense things others overlook, and your thoughts seem to travel to places where logic and intuition meet. This is not a weakness. It's one of the hidden signs that you were born gifted. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And that truth holds deep spiritual wisdom, because your difference is not a flaw to hide, but a divine design that sets you apart for a purpose. There were times you tried to fit in, to silence the parts of yourself that felt too deep, too intense, too curious. Yet the more you tried to conform, the more alien you felt. Jung taught that the shoe that fits one person pinches another, reminding us that life doesn't offer one-size-fits-all paths. Your journey was meant to be unconventional. That sense of isolation you've felt isn't punishment, it's preparation. The universe often pulls gifted souls away from the noise of the world so they can hear their inner voice clearly. That quiet whisper of intuition, that feeling that something greater is guiding you, is not imagination. It's your compass calling you home to your truth. You experience emotions in high definition. You feel pain deeply, but you also experience beauty and joy with unmatched intensity. This sensitivity can make life overwhelming at times, but it's also your greatest superpower. It allows you to read between the lines, to feel what others can't say, to sense energy before words are spoken. You were born to notice the invisible, the emotional, the spiritual, the energetic patterns that shape existence. Many people live on the surface. You were born to explore the depths. That's the nature of spiritual awakening. It begins when you stop judging your sensitivity and start recognizing it as a sacred gift. Carl Jung believed that our life's purpose is to make the unconscious conscious, to integrate what is hidden within us into awareness. When you feel different or misunderstood, it's often because you've glimpsed truths others aren't yet ready to see. Your mind and spirit operate on a higher frequency, one that challenges you to bring clarity where there is confusion. And while this awareness can make you feel alone, it also makes you a light in a world still half asleep. You are not meant to follow the crowd. You are meant to illuminate what lies beyond it. Rumi once wrote, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." That's the essence of your being vast, deep, and immeasurable. So when you find yourself standing apart, remember that every moment of solitude is sculpting your strength. Each time you feel unseen, the universe is teaching you how to see yourself. Every misunderstanding is a mirror, asking you to trust your own perception. Feeling out of place is simply your soul's way of saying you were never meant to stay small. You are here to bring spiritual wisdom to a world that often forgets its own soul. As Carl Jung revealed, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. And the very fact that you've always felt different is proof that you are already awakening slowly, powerfully, into the extraordinary being you were always meant to be. 10. Endless curiosity and deep focus. You were never meant to accept life at face value because your mind was designed to question, to peel back layers, to seek the truth behind appearances. This endless curiosity that drives you is not a sign of restlessness. It's a sign of higher intelligence and spiritual sensitivity. You don't just see what is, you sense what could be. When others stop at why bother, you begin with why. Your questions are the sparks that ignite your growth, each one pushing you closer to spiritual awakening. Carl Jung once said, "To ask the right question is already half the solution of a problem." That is why your mind refuses to rest. It is not chasing chaos. It is chasing clarity. Your curiosity is the inner compass of your soul, guiding you toward wisdom that can't be found in textbooks, but only through deep personal revelation. This same inner force fuels your remarkable focus. When something matters to you, the rest of the world fades into the background, and you become fully absorbed, time dissolves, and you enter what scientists call flow, but what mystics recognize as communion with the divine. In that state, your consciousness expands beyond logic. You are not just thinking, you are becoming the thought. Jung called this the bridge between the conscious and the unconscious mind, the sacred space where inspiration is born. Your focus is not mere discipline, it's devotion. It is how your soul interacts with the universe, how spirit channels through you to create, to innovate, to reveal. This is why you might lose track of hours when working on a project or exploring an idea that fascinates you, because in those moments, you are aligned with purpose. Yet this gift often makes you feel misunderstood. People may see you as obsessive or too intense, but what they don't understand is that depth is your natural habitat. You were never meant to skim the surface. You were meant to dive. Your mind hungers for meaning, not distraction. You question everything because you sense there's always more to uncover, more to understand. You are not detached from reality. You are deeply connected to it on a level that most never reach. Your endless curiosity is not rebellion. It's reverence for truth. And your ability to focus is not a flaw. It's the mark of a spiritually attuned mind that refuses to waste energy on the trivial. This is what true spirituality looks like, not passively accepting what is told, but actively exploring what is hidden. Your curiosity is the fire that awakens the sleeping parts of your consciousness, and your focus is the vessel that channels that energy into creation and mastery. Together, they make you a seeker, a thinker, and a creator of new realities. When you merge your questioning nature with your deep focus, you don't just learn, you transform. And in that transformation lies the very essence of spiritual wisdom, the ability to see through illusion and uncover the living truth that lies beneath everything you touch, study, and become. Remember, true spiritual gifts often hide beneath layers of humility, solitude, and quiet observation. If today's message helped you recognize your own inner light, honor it and let it grow. Don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who might need this awakening, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming explorations into the mysteries of Carl Jung's truth and your own spiritual evolution. 7 unseen signs she holds a rare spiritual power. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Carl Jung. Welcome to Spiritual Wisdom, where we explore the unseen depths of the human soul. Have you ever met someone whose presence feels ancient, magnetic, or even sacred? Someone who seems to hold a mysterious kind of power that words can't explain? Today's video, 7 Unseen Signs She Holds a Rare Spiritual Power. Carl Jung tried to warn us, uncovers the psychology behind that rare energy. As you listen, reflect on the women in your life, or perhaps within yourself, who carry this silent strength. What does spiritual power look like to you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And let's begin this journey into the hidden realms of feminine energy and self-realization. 1. The aura of silent gravity. She doesn't need to speak to command attention. Her energy does it for her. There's something ancient and magnetic about her, a vibration that hums beneath the surface, quiet yet impossible to ignore. It's not her beauty or charm that captures people, but the invisible field surrounding her, the spiritual gravity that makes others pause, question, and feel. In her presence, the unconscious stirs. Carl Jung would say she holds a rare spiritual power. the kind that mirrors the hidden depths of others, exposing what they love, fear, and deny within themselves. People look at her and see what they long for or what they've buried. She becomes the canvas for their projections, admired for her mystery, resented for her mirror. She doesn't belong to anyone's imagination, yet everyone sees something of themselves in her. Her silence speaks volumes. It disarms without intention, heals without trying, and provokes without effort. She moves through the world not as someone who needs to prove her worth, but as someone who has remembered it. Her spirituality is lived, not preached. Her awakening is quiet, not loud. She carries herself with the grace of someone who has faced her shadows and found peace within them. Her stillness carries the weight of unspoken wisdom. People feel it as an aura, soft yet undeniable, like a sacred presence that both comforts and challenges. She doesn't chase attention. Attention simply orbits around her. Her essence reminds the world that true power is never performed. It is embodied. Jung warned that such women often carry the burden of projection. Their light can awaken or unsettle, depending on who perceives it. To those trapped in illusion, her energy feels threatening because it exposes falsehood. To the awakened, she feels like truth itself, pure, grounded, and transcendent. Her presence pulls the unconscious to the surface, demanding honesty from those who encounter her. She becomes both a mirror and a catalyst, revealing the difference between attraction and alignment, illusion and reality. Those who fear her don't truly fear her. They fear the parts of themselves that her presence brings into the light. This is the essence of spiritual awakening, to embody both shadow and light without losing balance. She walks through life as a paradox, gentle yet powerful, detached yet deeply connected. Her aura carries a sacred duality. She destroys illusion while restoring faith. Her power is not domination, but resonance. She doesn't persuade or control. She vibrates truth so purely that lies cannot survive near her. To stand in her presence is to face your own soul, and not everyone is ready for that reflection. Jung called this phenomenon the living archetype of the divine feminine, the anima awakened. She represents the mystery of consciousness itself, nurturing yet fierce, receptive yet transformative. To men, she becomes both muse and mirror, calling them to evolve beyond ego and into essence. To the world, she symbolizes what spirituality truly means: awakening through awareness, power through peace. Her gravity cannot be seen, only felt. It bends the emotional atmosphere around her, drawing people into deeper dimensions of themselves. She does not speak to be understood. She speaks through vibration, through presence, through the stillness that says everything. In her quiet gravity lies a truth that few can face, but none can forget. Have you ever met someone whose silent presence could shift the entire energy of a room? If this video helped you recognize that rare kind of spiritual gravity, share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've just realized you might hold that power yourself, comment, "I embrace my aura." Let's awaken this spiritual wisdom together and step deeper into the path of true spiritual awakening. 2. The paradox of solitude and connection. Though many are drawn to her light, she often walks alone, wrapped in a silence that feels both heavy and holy. There is a strange paradox within her, an unseen tension between her ability to connect deeply with others and her need to retreat into solitude to protect her energy. People are magnetized by her presence, sensing a depth that cannot be explained by beauty or words, yet she stands apart, quietly observing the world from a sacred distance. She sees through masks too easily, reads emotions too clearly, and feels pain that isn't hers to carry. This heightened perception, while a gift of spirituality, also becomes her burden, because when you see through illusions, small talk becomes noise and pretense feels unbearable. So she withdraws, not out of arrogance or coldness, but out of a deep need to cleanse her spirit from the density of the world. In that solitude, her soul does not wither, it expands. Her loneliness becomes a sacred laboratory for transformation, a temple where dreams, visions, and symbols become her language with the unseen. It is here that intuition sharpens into insight, where emotional wounds dissolve into wisdom, and where true spiritual growth takes root. The silence around her is not emptiness, but communion, a dialogue between her soul and the divine, between her shadow and her light. Every quiet moment is a conversation with her higher self, where she learns that connection is not always found in people, but often discovered in the stillness within. Her solitude becomes a crucible, burning away the noise of the world so that her truth can rise, pure and unshakable. Those who do not understand her think she is distant, but those who sense energy know she is attuning to something higher. She moves through life like a mirror of the unseen, reflecting what others hide from themselves. Carl Jung warned that such souls walk a fine line between illumination and destruction. For when the psyche holds great light, it must also face great shadow. That is why her isolation is sacred. It is not escape, but preservation. In silence, she balances empathy with boundaries, compassion with clarity, and power with peace. Her solitude teaches her that the truest connection is not constant communication, but resonance, the kind of connection that transcends words, built on energy and presence rather than proximity. And so she learns to honor her aloneness as a spiritual discipline. It is in the moments when the world falls quiet that she feels most alive, most awake, most herself. She realizes that solitude is not separation from others, but union with her own essence. Through this divine stillness, she reclaims her strength, her clarity, and her peace. She becomes the calm in the storm, the silent gravity that others feel but cannot explain. Her solitude refines her spirit until her presence itself becomes medicine soft yet powerful, distant yet healing, untouchable yet deeply connected to all of life. 3. The dangerous gift of intuition. Her intuition is not just a feeling, it is a force that defies logic, a silent knowing that whispers the truth long before the world can see it. She senses deception before it's spoken, feels the sadness hidden behind someone's smile, and often foresees events that others can't explain. It's as if she carries an ancient radar within her, tuned not to words, but to energy. Carl Jung once said, "Intuition does not denote something contrary to reason, but something outside of the province of reason." That is the realm she lives in, where emotion, energy, and truth flow like an unseen river. This intuitive woman doesn't guess, she perceives. Yet this spiritual wisdom that allows her to see what others ignore often makes her feel alien to the world around her, as if her gift has set her apart from ordinary existence. People are drawn to her and afraid of her at the same time. They feel seen, exposed, and transformed by her presence. She walks into a room and everything shifts, as though the atmosphere itself recognizes her awareness. but this power is double-edged. Jung warned that intuition, when not balanced with grounding and reason, can overwhelm the psyche. The intuitive woman sees too much, feels too deeply, and sometimes carries the emotional weight of others like it's her own. She becomes both healer and mirror, revealing truths that people aren't ready to face. Her gift is magnetic, but it isolates her, because few can stand before the mirror of pure authenticity without trembling. She may wake up with a heavy heart, sensing storms before they arrive, or feel a chill when someone's intentions turn dark. This constant awareness can exhaust her spirit, making her question whether her insight is a blessing or a curse. Jung's teachings on individuation remind us that every gift must be balanced by integration. When she grounds herself through stillness, prayer, meditation, or art, her intuition becomes a source of harmony instead of chaos. She learns that not every truth must be spoken, not every vision must be shared, and not every energy must be absorbed. Wisdom lies in knowing when to listen to the voice within and when to let silence speak for her. Her power grows not by seeing more, but by feeling less burdened by what she sees. Her intuition then transforms from a dangerous sensitivity into sacred clarity, a divine channel through which compassion flows. Jung believed that the unconscious, when made conscious, becomes the guiding light of our lives. And for this woman, intuition is that light. It is her language with the universe, her invisible dialogue with destiny. When she learns to walk with it, not ahead of it or behind it, her gift no longer isolates her. It connects her with the rhythm of creation itself, where spiritual wisdom meets divine peace. Comment below, I trust my intuition, if you're ready to embrace your rare spiritual gift and walk the path of higher awareness. And if this message resonates with your soul, share your thoughts in the comments. Your intuition might be guiding someone else's awakening too. 4. The shadow magnet. Radiating light means attracting darkness, for in the realm of spirituality and spiritual awakening, light and shadow are inseparable twins. She doesn't need to speak to be noticed. Her energy alone shifts the atmosphere. Wherever she goes, people either adore her or despise her with equal intensity, not because of her personality, but because her presence acts as a mirror. She awakens what lies buried within others, their envy, fear, and hidden resentment. Carl Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." That is precisely what happens when people encounter her. They are confronted with the parts of themselves they've long denied. Her calm presence unsettles those addicted to chaos. Her quiet confidence intimidates those who live in self-doubt, and her freedom provokes those trapped in conformity. She does not intentionally provoke anyone. She simply mirrors what they hide. Her very existence forces others to face the truth they run from, and this is both her curse and her gift. The shadow magnet lives between love and misunderstanding. People project their deepest emotions onto her without realizing it. They sense something ancient, something that sees straight through pretense and that scares them. Her stillness is often mistaken for arrogance, her independence for pride, and her self-possession for danger. But the truth is, she absorbs the world like a sponge of consciousness. The pain, the jealousy, the unspoken grief around her, she feels it all. To the unaware, she becomes the target of projection. Yet to those ready to awaken, she becomes a silent catalyst for healing. Her energy does not heal through words, but through resonance. It vibrates at a frequency that compels others to confront their buried emotions. Those who spend time near her often find themselves crying without reason, forgiving without understanding why, and awakening to new layers of truth within themselves. This is the sacred paradox of her presence. She heals by reflecting what hurts. She restores by revealing what was repressed. But this power comes with a price. To radiate light in a world still ruled by shadow is to walk a lonely path. The same gift that makes her magnetic can also make her vulnerable. Jung warned that the healer must never become consumed by the wounds she seeks to mend. For when she identifies too deeply with others' suffering, she risks losing her own center. These women must therefore learn the discipline of energetic boundaries, the art of compassion without absorption, of love without depletion. They must understand that saving everyone is not their purpose. Embodying truth is. Their strength lies not in how much darkness they can endure, but in how clearly they can remain anchored in their own light while darkness surrounds them. The shadow magnet ultimately learns that real power is not dominance, but awareness. She sees that darkness is not her enemy, but her mirror. Her purpose is not to escape it, but to transform it through consciousness. When others project their pain onto her, she no longer takes it personally. She knows that what they hate in her is what they refuse to see in themselves. And in that recognition, she becomes untouchable, not because she hides her light, but because she understands that the light was never meant to be liked, only to reveal. Her spiritual awakening is not a gentle journey of bliss, but a sacred initiation through fire and shadow. She embodies Jung's timeless truth that the gold is in the dark, carrying within her the rare alchemy of turning projection into wisdom and pain into awakening. 5. The dance between light and darkness. These women embody both tenderness and fire, carrying within them the paradox of strength and softness that makes their presence unforgettable. They have walked through suffering, not as victims, but as alchemists of the soul, turning every scar into sacred wisdom. Pain has been their teacher, solitude their sanctuary, and heartbreak their initiation into higher truth. Through the dark nights of their lives, they discovered that spirituality is not an escape from pain, but a transformation of it, an awakening that burns away illusions and reveals the eternal light of the spirit beneath. They are whole because they have made peace with their imperfection. They do not deny their shadow. They have befriended it, danced with it, and learned to draw power from its depths. As Carl Jung once said, "No tree can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell." And these women have lived that truth. Their roots run deep into the soil of suffering, and from it blooms the divine grace that makes their souls luminous. There is something magnetic about their energy, calm yet powerful, silent yet commanding. When they enter a room, the atmosphere shifts, not because they seek attention, but because their aura carries a frequency that resonates with authenticity. People are drawn to them without understanding why. It's not physical beauty that captivates, but spiritual depth. Their eyes seem to see through layers of illusion into the truth of who you are. To stand in their presence is to feel both comforted and exposed, healed yet undone. For they have the rare ability to look beyond appearances and touch the unseen essence of your soul. They do not judge what they see. They simply reflect it, showing you the parts of yourself you've long avoided. That's why being near them feels like standing before a mirror that reveals not your flaws, but your forgotten light. Their tenderness is not weakness. It is the mark of someone who has faced her own darkness and chosen to keep her heart open. Their patience has been shaped by years of endurance. Their grace is carved from the rough edges of survival. They know that to love deeply is to risk deeply, and still they love, not out of naivety, but from spiritual strength. Their spirituality is quiet yet fierce, rooted in awareness, not performance. They trust their intuition more than external noise, guided by a divine compass that never misleads. They live with presence and intention, walking the fine line between surrender and strength, compassion and clarity. They understand that spiritual growth is not about rejecting the human experience, but about transmuting it, about finding the sacred even in sorrow, the lesson within loss, and the divine within imperfection. Those who cross paths with such women often find themselves changed. Her presence awakens something dormant in you, a remembrance of your own divine essence. She is not here to rescue or reform. She is here to remind you of what you already are. Her spiritual power lies not in dominance, but in reflection, not in control, but in presence. She doesn't impose her light on others. She allows it to shine effortlessly, illuminating the hidden corners of those around her. To encounter her is to feel the delicate balance of heaven and earth, strength and surrender, shadow and radiance, all coexisting within one being who has mastered the eternal dance between light and darkness. Leave your like and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. And don't forget to activate the notification bell so you never miss another awakening insight like this. Let this message remind you that balance is a sacred type in the comments. I embrace both my light and my darkness. 6. The unyielding inner voice. There is a voice within her that cannot be silenced, a force that rises above fear, judgment, and conformity. A voice that Carl Jung called the self, the divine compass guiding every soul toward wholeness. It doesn't whisper, it commands. It tells her to walk away from what no longer serves her, to release relationships that drain her, to defy the rules that confine her spirit, and to live in absolute authenticity. This voice does not negotiate with the ego. It dismantles illusions, even when it hurts. When she suppresses it, life begins to crumble from the inside. Anxiety, depression, and chaos creep in as the soul's rebellion against a life lived out of alignment. But when she listens, when she follows that inner current with courage, something extraordinary happens. Her life begins to flow with spiritual freedom, purpose, and divine synchronicity. Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." She understands this truth at her core. Her choices may seem reckless to others, but they are sacred acts of alignment. Every step she takes away from toxicity is a return to her own essence. She knows that spiritual awakening is not a gentle escape. It is a fire that burns everything false, leaving only truth behind. She is not afraid of solitude because she knows solitude is sacred ground. In silence, she hears the whispers of the universe. In stillness, she feels the pulse of creation moving through her veins. Her spiritual wisdom deepens as she learns that awakening is not about being perfect, but about being whole, about embracing both light and shadow, heaven and the underworld of her own psyche. As she grows, she becomes fluent in the language of energy. She senses vibrations before words are spoken. She reads emotions hidden behind polite smiles. Her intuition sharpens like a blade of truth, cutting through pretense and illusion. This sensitivity is her power, not her weakness. Through pain, she has learned discernment. Through darkness, she has found clarity. Jung believed that there is no coming to consciousness without pain, and she embodies that wisdom with grace. Her scars tell stories of transformation, each one proof that she chose healing over bitterness, truth over comfort, growth over stagnation. Yet the world often misunderstands her. They call her distant, difficult, or too deep, not realizing she simply refuses to betray her soul for approval. Her authenticity exposes falsehood. Her peace unsettles those addicted to chaos. She is not trying to be better than anyone. She is simply trying to be whole. Her rare spiritual power lies in her refusal to conform, in her commitment to live as truth itself. She does not seek attention. She seeks alignment. She does not crave validation. She honors vibration. Every decision she makes becomes an act of divine rebellion against a world built on pretense. This is what Carl Jung tried to warn us about the power of a woman who listens to her soul. She cannot be controlled, manipulated, or confined because her allegiance is to something higher. She moves through life with quiet certainty, guided by a wisdom that transcends logic. Her very presence awakens something in others, a reminder of what it feels like to be real. And though her path is not easy, it is sacred, for she carries the rare gift of spiritual wisdom, the courage to live as the self intended, free, whole, and utterly unshakable. 7. The burden of transformation. Their lives are not written for ease or comfort, but for evolution, as if the universe itself chose them to become vessels of awakening. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every loss, and every rebirth is a sacred initiation designed to strip away illusion and reveal truth. They are women whose spirits burn brighter after every fall, whose tears cleanse not only their own wounds, but those of others. Their pain becomes their poetry, their silence becomes their strength, and their scars become maps of transcendence. Carl Jung warned that transformation always carries a price. For those who give endlessly without renewal will eventually exhaust the very light they were born to share. The spiritual awakening they carry is not a gentle calling, but a fire, a force that consumes the false self so the true one can emerge from the ashes. Yet that same sacred fire must be tended with care, or it will burn through rather than illuminate. Their power lies not in endurance alone, but in the art of surrender, in knowing when to let go and when to rise again. They are the alchemists of experience, turning pain into wisdom and chaos into clarity. Every betrayal they endure refines their intuition. Every loss teaches them the fragility and beauty of human attachment, and every rebirth draws them closer to divine truth. They walk through the dark with open eyes, not because they enjoy the suffering, but because they understand that only through shadow can the light be seen fully. Their lives are messages written in contrast, each moment of despair birthing a deeper compassion, each fall revealing the strength to climb again. Jung's insight echoes through their journey. There is no coming to consciousness without pain, a reminder that the path of spirituality is not an escape from reality, but a deeper embrace of it. Yet even the strongest spirit can forget its own boundaries. These women must remember that transformation is not meant to consume them, but to refine them. When they pour their energy endlessly into others without replenishing their own inner flame, they risk dissolving into the very pain they came to heal. The sacred mission of such souls is not martyrdom, but mastery to know how to nurture their light even as they guide others toward theirs. True spirituality is balance, the ability to give and receive, to illuminate and rest, to hold both shadow and light within the same heart. Their rare spiritual power is not found in their ability to suffer, but in their ability to rise, transformed, to walk through fire and emerge radiant, untamed, and whole. And though the world may never fully understand them, their energy silently awakens all who cross their path, reminding humanity that rebirth is not a single moment. It is a lifelong dance between destruction and renewal, between surrender and awakening. If this truth resonates with you, comment below with faith. I embrace the burden of transformation. Remember, every awakening begins with surrender. Subscribe to spiritual wisdom and continue your journey towards spiritual awakening and divine purpose. True spiritual power isn't about control or perfection. It's about presence, awareness, and the courage to live in harmony with your higher self. As Carl Jung reminded us, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Let these 7 signs guide you toward a deeper connection with your own spirit and the unseen wisdom that moves through your life. Which of these signs do you recognize within yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if this message awakens something in you, type, "I embrace my power," to affirm it. Remember, this is spiritual wisdom, where your awakening begins.